Hey folks, how are you? It's a good day. It's a real good day. Some of my colleagues can tell you this is a long time in coming, but I'm happy it's here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Please be seated. It was a great five-star general and president, Dwight D. Eisenhower, who once said, "Though force can protect an emergency, only justice, fairness, and consideration and cooperation can finally lead men to the dawn of eternal peace." By repealing Don't Ask, Don't Tell today, we take a big step toward fostering justice, fairness, and consideration, and that real cooperation President Eisenhower spoke of. This fulfills an important campaign promise the President and I made, and many here on this stage made, and many of you have fought for a long time. Repealing a policy that actually weakens our national security, diminished our ability to have military readiness, and violates a fundamental American principle of fairness and equality. That exact same set of principles that brave gay men and women will now be able to openly defend around the world. It is both morally and militarily simply the right thing to do. And it's particularly important that this result was fully supported by those within the military who are charged with implementing it. And I want to pay particular respect, just in a personal note, as we used to say, I used to be allowed to say in the Senate, a point of personal privilege, Admiral Mullen, you're a stand-up guy. I think they like you. And he already has enough power, don't? And it couldn't have been done without these men and women leading our military, and it could not have been done without the steady, dedicated, and persistent leadership of the President of the United States. Mr. President, by signing this bill, you will be linking military might with an abiding sense of justice. You'll be projecting power by promoting fairness and making the United States military as strong as it can be at a time we need it to be the strongest. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States of America, the Commander-in-Chief, Barack Obama.
Thank you. Yes, we did. This is. You're welcome. This is a good day. Everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, I am just overwhelmed. This is a very good day, and I want to thank all of you, especially the people on this stage, but each and every one of you who've been working so hard on this, members of my staff who worked so hard on this. I couldn't be prouder. You know, 66 years ago, in the dense, snow-covered forests of Western Europe, Allied forces were beating back a massive assault in what would become known as the Battle of the Bulge. And in the final days of fighting, a regiment in the 80th Division of Patton's Third Army came under fire. The men were traveling along a narrow trail. They were exposed, and they were vulnerable. Hundreds of soldiers were cut down by the enemy. And during the firefight, a private named Lloyd Corwin tumbled 40 feet down the deep side of a ravine. And dazed and trapped, he was as good as dead. But one soldier, a friend, turned back. And with shells landing around him, amid smoke and chaos and the screams of wounded men, this soldier, this friend, scaled down the icy slope, risking his own life to bring Private Corwin to safer ground. Now, for the rest of his years, Lloyd credited this soldier, this friend, named Andy Lee, with saving his life, knowing he would never have made it out alone. It was a full 4 decades after the war, when the two friends reunited in their golden years, that Lloyd learned that the man who saved his life, his friend Andy, was gay. He had no idea, and he didn't much care. Lloyd knew what mattered. He knew what had kept him alive, what made it possible for him to come home and start a family and live the rest of his life. It was his friend. And Lloyd's son is with us today. And he knew that valor and sacrifice are no more limited by sexual orientation than they are by race or by gender or by religion or by creed. That what made it possible for him to survive the battlefields of Europe is the reason that we are here today. That's the reason we are here today. So this morning, I am proud to sign a law that will bring an end to Don't Ask, Don't Tell. It is a law this law I'm about to sign will strengthen our national security and uphold the ideals that our fighting men and women risk their lives to defend. No longer will our country be denied the service of thousands of patriotic Americans who were forced to leave the military, regardless of their skills, no matter their bravery or their zeal, no matter their years of exemplary performance, because they happen to be gay. No longer will tens of thousands of Americans in uniform be asked to live a lie or look over their shoulder in order to serve the country that they love. As Admiral Mike Mullen has said, our people sacrifice a lot for their country, including their lives. None of them should have to sacrifice their integrity as well. That's why I believe this is the right thing to do for our military. That's why I believe it is the right thing to do, period. Now, many fought long and hard to reach this day. I want to thank the Democrats and Republicans who put conviction ahead of politics to get this done together. I want to recognize Nancy Pelosi, Steny Hoyer, and Harry Reid. Today we're marking a historic milestone, but also the culmination of two of the most productive years in the history of Congress, in no small part because of their leadership. And so we are very grateful to them. I want to thank Joe Lieberman and Susan. And Susan Collins. And I think Carl Levin's still working. But I want to add Carl Levin. They held their shoulders to the wheel in the Senate. I'm so proud of Susan Davis, who's on the stage. And a guy you might know, Barney Frank. They kept up the fight in the House, and I've got to acknowledge Patrick Murphy, a veteran himself, who helped lead the way in Congress.